Hello everyone, back into today's second video. Going to have a look at the weather for next week's 10 days. So today's second video, and that's going to take us around the 19th of May. We'll be able to extend out beyond that, the extended GFS and ECM ensemble. So going to around a couple of weeks. Have a look at the CFSV2 at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks. That's going to take us into the beginning of June, of course. So weekend forecast has been released. As always on Saturday, you've got your weekend look ahead. Have a look and see what's going on there. Big drop in temperature coming up over the next couple of days. More about that in this video update as well, of course. And tonight we're going to begin the countdown to the late spring bank holiday weekend. So the first update for that will get underway sometime this evening, probably around 6-7 o'clock. Right, let's get on with this one then. I'm going to start off with latest observations from xcweather.co.uk. So it's a very warm afternoon out there once again. We can see we've got 24 degrees flashing away there down at Letoke, but not yet really 24 degrees in inland parts of the UK. However, we're not far off it. Cranfield at 21, High Wycombe at 21, Farnborough at 22. Odiham at 23 and London City Airport at 23 as well. Stansted at 22. So it really is down in the south at the warm piece today. Boscombe down at 22, Shoreham at 21, for example, Bournemouth at 23. So we're very close to 24 degrees. I think we will reach 24 degrees and will probably surpass 24 degrees. Actually, I think 25, maybe 26 is achievable in the next couple of hours. So that's getting very close to 80 Fahrenheit somewhere in the middle of London. It's quite warm further north too. So we've got Lake Verwey in Wales at 19 degrees, Rhyl at 19, Capel Currig at 19. So yes, pretty warm up across Wales too. Warcop at 19, going northwards to Bulmer at 13. So it's a little bit cooler there on the east coast, as has been for weeks on end now. You've really suffered over the past few weeks on the east coast. Aberdeen at 15, and over in Northern Ireland we've got Belfast at 18. But if you go to the very, very far north, look at this, very far north, Kirkwell at just 9, Wick at just 7, out in Hara at just 8, and Stornoway just 8 too. Where we got these green colours, that's just where we're beginning to come within the cold air, behind the cold front that's moving southwards across Scotland today. Those green colours, those colder temperatures, are a sign of things to come. So tomorrow we'll see cold air spreading southwards across the country, and these temperatures into the mid-20s Celsius will be a distant memory. So if you like your sort of late spring weather, warm and very warm to hot, make the most of this afternoon. That, I think, is the message at the moment. Central temperature is currently looking like this. It's going to go up more after today, of course, but at the moment the CT is standing at 11.4. That's an anomaly of 1.2 degrees above average. As I say, that's provisional up to yesterday, the 8th of May. That's probably going to tick up a little bit more for today. I think we'll probably see that going up into the higher levels, but then it'll start to come down quite quickly, I think. Particularly sort of early next week, we may shave quite a bit off that, so we may finish up by like the latter part of next week, seeing that going down into the low 10s even. So we could easily take a degree off, maybe even more in the next few days once we get today out of the way. However, despite that temperatures are going to be getting colder, it's not going to be turning particularly unsettled. High pressure will continue to be dominating the weather, and we can see that within the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts for the next week to 10 days from the Penn State University. So with this, we've got the ECMWF on the top, and the GFS, which we'll have a look at in a moment, is on the bottom. So 500 millibars is an area in the actual high pressure and low pressure are being moved around by the jet stream running above. Red extrapolates to high pressure and blue to low pressure. This takes us into the second half of May. We go to the 19th of May with this. We can see that with the ECM, we've got an area of above average height sitting very close to the country and extending back to the north. 2 troughs on either side, so it's very much a trough ridge pattern. Got quite a deep trough through here in the North Atlantic, and another one over here across Scandinavia. Jet stream therefore is doing something a little bit like that, and quite settled, but with that we are pulling in some quite cool winds from like the north and from the northeast on the cool side of a ridge. Anytime a ridge is centered like to our west or northwest, then we're going to be bringing in the air from a northerly direction. Yes, that looks relatively settled, but quite cool. The GFS looks like this, has below average heights to our east, so a little bit closer with that trough of low pressure to the east. The ridge is there, but it's more out to the west of the country, and then another trough in the Atlantic. That just looks a little bit more, a little bit more showery, perhaps with the GFS around day 10 compared to the ECM. It's not a particularly unsettled pattern in its own right. Even on this scenario, we've still got a bit of a ridge across parts of the Atlantic Ocean. These were GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles next couple of weeks. We're looking at London today. So the red line, of course, is the 30-year upper air temperature average for London. We're starting off very warm at the moment, much warmer than average. Look at the plunging temperature that's on the way in the next 24 hours or so. So by the time it's through to the open up next week, it really will feel very, very cold indeed. And then the upper air temperature stays significantly below average as we go through the early part of next week. They will gradually stage a recovery both in the upper level of the atmosphere and down on the surface too. They will gradually start to stage a recovery, but it is going to be a slow old process, and we'll probably still have some quite chilly nights even into the middle of next week. Now, as we move into the extended range, taking us through the second half of the month, there is a warming trend, you'll notice. So many of these ensembles are warming up. And look what the latest GFS operational run does. That's the thick green line. That is actually producing a heat wave there. Proper heat wave as we go into like the end of the third week of May and on into the last week of May. So, yes, it looks like it's on its own. It's definitely an outlier, although there are one or two other members of the East Ensemble. This other green line just here, for example, with a doing that. And generally, there's a bit of a warming trend, I think, there late on. Of course, it's very unreliable extended range stuff for the GFS and its ensemble, but it does also, there's a bit of a warming trend there. That the heat wave, I'll show you in a moment, but the heat wave that the GFS operational run is producing for like the end of the third week and into the final week of May is quite on its own. It's not well supported, but we will have a look at it in a moment. Precipitation-wise, going to be loads of dry weather coming up in London over the next week up to the middle part of the month. Basically, it's dry, and then beyond that, it does go a little bit more showery as we move through the third week of May. Temperature anomalies from the 9th through to the 17th of May are going to be colder than average, not just for the UK, but through most parts of Europe. It's quite a cold week to come, most notably night precipitation anomalies from the 9th to the 17th of May, drier than average. So chilly and dry really sums it up in the week ahead. Right, so that's how the GFS is looking for tomorrow. High pressure out to our northwest. It's all covered by the weekend forecast, of course, but I wanted to start with this GFS run tomorrow so you can have a look at that minus 10 cells isotherm that we've been focusing on all week. So tomorrow, yes, high pressure out to the northwest. We're bringing those cold north to northeast winds. Let's have a look. The upper air temperature. Still, we see the GFS pulling in the minus 10 cells isotherm to the far north of the country. As I've been saying in the videos and the live streams, I'm expecting that this minus 10 cells isotherm will stop short of the UK. I was thinking it's going to stop somewhere like here, or maybe there, but certainly short of mainland UK. But as each one has gone on, it's become more likely that we will pull in the minus 10 cells isotherm on the 10th of May, which is very unusual. So the GFS is still pulling in at minus 10 Celsius isotherm there tomorrow. Very, very unusually cold for the time of year in the far north of the country. Staying cold into Monday, winds still in from the north and the northeast. Then through to the middle of next week, we start to see the high pressure gradually moving down across the country. So we cut off the northerly wind. It's still going to be quite chilly, particularly so at night. Temperatures by day, not too bad in the sunshine, but certainly nowhere near as warm as they have been over the past few days and are today. That's how we look on Thursday and into Friday. Again, it looks like the high pressure stays to our north and west. As I say, any time a high pressure is in this sort of area, so if it's around there or if it's around here, any time a high pressure is in that sort of area, then on the eastern side, we'll be bringing in a wind from the north or northeast, and that will be a cold wind direction or a cool wind direction in the summer. In winter, it'll be a cold wind direction. In summer, it'll be a cool wind direction. Moving up towards day 10, well, then we start to see a bit of a weakening of the high pressure, and it starts to try and go a bit more unsettled. So around day 10, moving up to the 19th of May, just looks a little bit more unsettled, but not for long. Look at this. By the time you get through to the 20th, then the ridge is building back in across the UK and Northern Europe. And this is the start of that heat wave that we saw just here on the GFS Ensemble. It's an outlier. It's not well supported, this, but this is what the GFS operation run does. It turns winds into the south by Thursday, the 21st of May. We start to pull up some really very warm to hot air from southern parts of Europe. Look at the upper air temperatures, -10 Celsius isotherm, drifting +10 Celsius isotherm, I should say, pushing northwards across the country. We've got the -10 coming in tomorrow, but by the 21st, maybe could be bringing up the +10, and the +15 Celsius isotherm is actually across the northern parts of France. And these southerly winds, hot southerly winds, continue into Saturday, the 23rd. Maybe this is proper heat wave stuff. Would be enough to lift temperatures into the upper 20s Celsius, I think. So yes, 15 Celsius isotherm is wafting around parts of England and Wales there. By the very end of the GFS run, which gets us to Bank Holiday Monday today, Monday 25th May, the high pressure going to Scandinavia and the winds are turning into the east. That's probably started bringing some cooler air in from the east. But the main thing is, of course, very hot for a while through the third week of May, and eventually high pressure up Scandinavia. It all looks really dry, I have to say, in the next couple of weeks with the GFS operation run. But bear in mind, that was quite a big outlier, that operation run within the GFS ensembles. This is how the GEM looks. So again, high pressures out to our west on Tuesday. Down these cold northern winds. Actually, let's see if we can go back and have a look at -10. So this is Sunday, and again on Sunday we have the high pressure just to our northwest around Greenland and Iceland. There's the -10 Celsius isotherm just getting into northern parts of Scotland at midnight tonight. Then into Sunday, yes, we've got -10 just into the UK. So the GM is also bringing -10 Celsius isotherm to the north of Scotland over the next few hours, particularly tomorrow. And then we move into next week. The high pressure again sitting close to the country, but always slightly to our west, so always on the cool side of the ridge, looking rather chilly, but mainly dry through the coming week. And then in the very extended range, we turn more unsettled with the GM. We start to set up a trough of low pressure more or less over the country. So instead of starting to flirt with the idea of a heat wave like the GFS is doing by this point, or just beyond this point, day 10, the GM actually turns it increasingly cool and wet with low pressure developing across the country. Let's see what the ECM wants to do. Again, we start tomorrow, high pressure just out to our northwest. There's those north to northeast winds coming in. -10 Celsius isotherm at midnight tonight, short of the UK, to the north of the UK. Remember, we can only go in 24-hourly steps as well with the ECM. We go through to midnight on Monday. That's how we look. Again, we're looking pretty cold for those northerly winds. And the ECM does just about get -10 Celsius isotherm into the UK. I would suspect if we could look at like the midday upper air temperature for midday tomorrow, we would see the -10 into northern Scotland. So it looks like all models are still bringing -10 into the far north of Scotland with the upper air temperatures tomorrow. Really quite remarkable for the 10th of May. And then moving on into next week itself, so high pressure just continue to dominate weather, lots of dry weather, always on the cool side of the ridge, so temperatures won't be particularly exciting, but gradually staging a recovery through the week and into the following weekend. As we get up to day 10, that's how we look. So still high pressure in control, really, up to day 10. A lot of dry weather. We are remaining on the cool side of the ridge, though. Winds are still coming around the top of the ridge from like a north to northeasterly direction. This is a precipitation type forecast from Meteo.com from an ECM run. So again, we've got cold front into the north at the moment, bring that band of rain into Scotland. Some of that could turn wintry this evening over the Scottish mountains. Definitely a chance of some snow across northern Scotland tonight. Tomorrow, that cold front comes southwards across the country as a rapidly weakening feature. We could spark off a few heavy showers in the south, but otherwise we turn mainly dry. And across Scotland, we do have these wintry showers across the northern and eastern parts of Scotland. Snow could come down to quite low levels across the northern and eastern parts of Scotland tomorrow afternoon. we'll be live streaming 5 o'clock tomorrow. So if anybody in the north of Scotland gets snow, please can they tomorrow afternoon, or while we're live streaming, please can they check in and tell us through the live chat that they've got a bit of snow, because that would be quite remarkable for that to happen on the 10th of May while we're doing a live stream. Right, we move out beyond that into the early part of next week, and again, it's mainly dry, mostly fine conditions as we go through the course of next week. Very little rain, a few showers coming and going in the northeast, but the emphasis is on mostly dry weather through next week. Always rather cool though. And then as we move up towards day 10, start bringing some wet weather into the northwest. But you see the emphasis is really on dry weather. It does look as though several parts of the country, many parts of the country, are going to have at least 10 days more without any precipitation. It's already been a really dry spring, this. So after the deluge of the winter, this spring has definitely swung the other way into a much drier situation. ECM ensembles from the Icelandic Met Office for day 10, showing the options on the table look like this. This gets us to the 19th of May. Have 21 members of the ECM ensembles with high pressure sitting over and to the south of the country. Low pressure is out to the northwest. Jet stream and wind is doing something a little bit like that. 16 with high pressure ridging through the country. So that's going to be mainly dry. Both of these scenarios are mainly dry. This one just here and this one just here is mainly dry. And I suppose this is the warmest option just here, actually, because this will be bringing up wind like south-southwesterly direction. This one is a little bit on the cool side as it's bringing wind from the north. And then we have 14 that have more of a northern blocking type feature. This one just here has a high pressure in the Norwegian Sea and sort of bringing in the winds from like an east to northeasterly direction. So that could be the coolest option, but really all scenarios are pointing towards high pressure dominating up to day 10. In 2 weeks time, these are the options that we've got. This one gets us to the 23rd of May. We have 18 members of the ECM ensembles with high pressure to our south and bringing in like a slack westerly flow. With those. Another 18 have a high pressure more or less centred over the top of the country. So again, plenty of dry weather with that. And then 15 with high pressure up towards Greenland and low pressure across the west of Europe. And we're bringing in the wind light from the north to northeasterly direction with that. So that's probably the coolest and most unsettled option. Probably similar to what the GEM is showing. You have to say, but one thing you do have to say, though, is that there's very little sign within the ECM ensembles of that heat wave for the third week of May into the final week of May that the GFS operational run pulled up. There's very little sign of that at the moment within the ECM ensembles. That's not to say it won't happen. It's not to say it won't get a heat wave by the final week of the month, but there's very little sign of it within either the GFS ensembles or the ECM ensembles. So we should wait and see where that's going. And then finally the CFS-V2, so these are 500 millibar heights broken down to weekly periods. The first weekly period takes us from the 9th through to the 15th of May. The coming week looks quite unsettled over Scandinavia, deep trough up there. That's where winter's biting still, of course. We're close to this ridge of high pressure, but we do pull in some quite cold air from the north, so chilly and dry really in the week ahead. Week 2 looks like that. It's the 16th to the 22nd of May. Again, high pressure towards Scandinavia, low pressure out in the middle of the Atlantic, sort of bringing up more of a southerly type influence with that, so it could be turning a little bit warm with that. The low pressure in the Atlantic is trying to bring in more unsettled conditions as well, by the way, so that might be starting to turn a bit more unsettled but warmer. Week 3 is the 23rd to 29th of May. High pressure then blocking towards Scandinavia, low pressure out in the Atlantic. Do you want to say what's going on there? We're trying to bring in like an easy flow via the blocking, but this low just here could be sending some energy through into the UK, so that could be actually more unsettled than it might at first appear. And then week 4 looks quite interesting. This is the 30th of May to the 5th of June. Something that was showing up in JMA Friday yesterday was a chance of some hot weather through the early part of June. Looks like the CFS is still going for that sort of scenario. High pressure over Scandinavia, low pressure push back into the Atlantic. The squeeze of the ice bars between the two would bring winds up from the south. So CFS still flirting with the idea of that quite a warm or even relatively hot start to June. We shall see about that. We shall see where that's going in the next few days. It could be that what the GFS operational run is picking up on at the moment with that heat wave is just a little bit too progressive in doing it, but it might be that that's where things are going to go by the end of May into the start of June. That could be where things are going. But we shall wait and see, and of course all will be revealed in a more immediate sort of time frame. Immediate concerns going to be with the cold northerly winds, night frost as well, so you will have to cover up delicate plants over the coming nights. And then we see a gradual recovery in temperature. Lots of dry weather, though, as we go up to and even beyond the middle of the month. Plenty of dry weather coming up, but a little bit on the cool side. Right, that's it for video number 2. We'll be back tonight having a look at the late spring bank holiday weekend. The first update for late spring bank holiday weekend gets underway tonight. Tomorrow, we're going to have our next batch of summer analogues. We shall be looking at April precipitation for that one, following on from the April CT last week. And also, got Gaz over sitting around, of course, and also a live stream at 5 o'clock. So, yes, lots going on. Keep checking back. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching.